recognizes the Kurdish region, which is already in place in the Iraqi north. I visited there in January. I was impressed by its stability and its level of economic growth that's taking place. The Kurdish regional government handles most of its own affairs, but it is still an important part of Iraq. We should strongly support the creation of a Sunni and a Shia region to complete a federal system for Iraq, and that recognizes the historical position that these sectarian groups have been in. I've not heard of a perfect political solution for Iraq, and there are some who object to federalism. I'm still convinced that federalism is the most likely and acceptable way to reach a comprehensive and enduring political settlement among all of Iraq's key groups. I believe this plan stands up well to the concerns that have been raised. And let me go through a few of those concerns. First, some worry about the reaction of Iraqi's neighbors. They worry that the Kurds might be emboldened to declare independence in such a system and force Turkey to invade. I believe, however, that a U.S. diplomatic surge in Baghdad can show our commitment to a Kurdish region that is a key part of Iraq and not a separate country. With that commitment, we can assure our Turkish allies that we support Iraq's territorial integrity. But more important, a stable Kurdish area reinforces Turkey's own security. So Turkey should have an interest in making federalism work. There are also concerns that Iran would undermine any Shia region that would be established. Iran, however, already exercises far too much influence in Iraq. Iraq is too weak to resist Iranian actions at this time, and we have already had to deal with Iranian elements in Iraq. A federal Iraq would help strengthen the Iraqi state and give it the ability to oppose influence from Iran. If we're really concerned about Iranian influences, we need to strengthen Iraq's political structures. And I believe that means working within and towards a federal system. I also know of concerns that a Sunni region might become an al-Qaeda safe haven. Current trends in Anbar province, however, show that local citizens have had their fill of al-Qaeda. A strong regional government of Sunnis would be able to help Sunnis resist al-Qaeda and keep the area clear of the terrorist threat. The other major objection to federalism is that some groups want it and others do not. The Kurds strongly support federalism, as you might suspect, because they're already making it work. Some of the Shias support federalism, while others do not. Sunnis generally oppose federalism because they do not see its benefits. We need, again, a diplomatic surge to explain federalism benefits and prove our commitment to its success. We need to make sure Sunnis understand that federalism is the best way for them to keep their stake in Iraq. We need to remind the Shia that federalism is the best way for them to bring peace to a country where they already have a sizable majority. Iraqis will not agree on federalism without strong and sustained support from the United States. But if we roll up our sleeves and make a Dayton-like effort, we can demonstrate that federalism provides bigger advantages for each Iraqi group than any other plan. If we do not embrace the goals of federalism, we will end up being held hostage to the kind of endless debates between Iraqi political parties that have occurred over the last 2 years. And this is a big one, the longer Iraq goes without political equilibrium, the bigger the risk of a total breakdown. You only have so much time. If Iraq implodes, we may see a genocide and a regional conflict, as I noted at the outset. And ironically, an implosion would probably end up creating 3 states. We should push for federalism now instead of waiting for a genocide and the carnage to create it for us. In fact, our policies should lay the groundwork for federalism even as Iraqi leaders create new federal regions. First, we should make the best of a difficult situation and work with, rather than against, population movements inside Iraq. Sunnis and Shia are moving out of mixed areas to places where their sect has a majority. That's taking place today. While we cannot expect federal regions to be completely homogeneous due to intermarriages and other factors between members of different sects, we can recognize that demographically federal regions are getting more recognizable every day, whether we support it or not. As families in mixed neighborhoods feel threatened and seek to relocate, we should provide protection. As people arrive in areas where their own sect forms a majority, we should provide economic support. There are large numbers of internally displaced people in Iraq. We should make it possible for them to resettle permanently in areas where their sect can ensure their safety. And we should make similar arrangements for those Iraqi refugees who wish to return to their home country, even if they cannot return to the exact neighborhood or community they fled. Second, we should ensure that the Kurdish region remains stable and economically growing. As I mentioned, our diplomatic surge will need a Turkish dimension to keep the peace along Iraqi's northern border. We should also ensure the Kurdish region receives an equitable share of U.S. reconstruction and aid dollars, something that has not been the case so far in Iraq. In addition, we need to support a peaceful and fair resolution of the status of Kirkuk. Third, we need to do more to discourage foreign interference in Iraq. We must make it clear to Iran that we will not allow the mullahs to make part of Iraq their own. We should make it clear to the Iranians that we intend to counter their moves inside Iraq and then join with the Iraqi security forces to keep that promise. We need to send similar messages to Syria and to Saudi Arabia. Iraq is presently weak, but it is a sovereign country. Instability in Iraq is not good for Syrian or Saudi Arabian security. When they give tacit permission for terrorists to enter Iraq through their territory, they are playing with fire. Such actions add to the conflict in Iraq and can only adversely affect their relationships with the United States. All of these steps can be taken now. In fact, time is of the essence. We have to prepare for federalism now if it is to become a reality in time to make a difference. We have to get Iraq on the road to political equilibrium before Iraqi politics implodes. I believe that a diplomatic surge that promotes federalism provides a path to victory. Some believe we should simply withdraw our troops and close the book on Iraq. But that only guarantees that the story ends as a nightmare. I believe we can make another choice. We should implement a diplomatic surge that promotes a federal Iraq, where Sunni, Shia, and Kurds manage their own affairs within a united state, unified state. This political solution can bring equilibrium to Iraq and lead to the stability necessary to ensure we do not have to return to Iraq. That's the kind of ending we all want in Iraq. And if we're honest with ourselves, it is the only kind of ending we can accept. Thank you for allowing me to put those thoughts forward and to flesh them out more. I appreciate the chance to be able to present that here, and I look forward to some questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator. It's my pleasure to lead the questioning tonight, and I thought I'd start off with one. I had an opportunity last night to take a look at some of the things that you've had on YouTube, and I'm glad to know that the Democrats don't have a
corner on
YouTube,
yeah.
Because if you haven't seen the Senator's YouTube presentation, he's riding on the train and telling all about the beliefs that he has and the issues and so forth.
But no singing or dancing.
Well, maybe there's room for that too. But I noticed one of the questions that when you invited people to call in or to send their videos in, that you said you've gotten quite a bit of, relates to the image of the United States throughout the world. And I guess my question, coming from as a board member of the U.S. Center for Citizen Diplomacy, you know, it's really a critical issue for a lot of Americans. Why are we so ill-perceived in the world, and what can we do about it?
That's a great question. One of the key answers to it is Iraq, because much of it's centered around it. And then I think another part of it is how we carry ourselves around the world. And I think we need to walk humbler and wiser around the world. I think we need to go to a number of places and just listen and hear what people have to say. I think we need to do that particularly in Latin America. Is a place that is a